Hello from Japan. This is JLab. Today I'm going to talk about Naruto. Now, Naruto is one of the most popular manga and anime in Japan. And I know that a lot of my American friends love Naruto. I first got into it when I first moved to Japan, and a friend let me borrow the manga. I got so invested in it. I read fan fiction, I practiced drawing the characters, and I was surprised to know how popular it was around the world. The characters are iconic and likable, the designs are incredible, and there's so much imagination put into it. Now, as a lot of you may notice, most of Naruto's world is fiction. But then I started to wonder how much of the setting was based on actual ninjas. I did some research and found shocking results. Let me start with the clothes. In Naruto, every character wears different clothes that identify them. However, the common image of ninjas wear black clothes that cover up to their faces. In reality, their clothes were actually an orangish color, and the costumes were used very rarely. Black clothes were more expensive during the times ninjas existed. Ninjas were lower ranked than samurai. They were rather poor and could not afford expensive black clothes. This also means that there was no way for them to buy colorful clothes like in Naruto. But in a way, Naruto himself may have the closest color costume to the real ninjas. Furthermore, if they really did wear black clothes, it would have made them stand out in the moonlight. And wearing black clothes would have made them stick out like a sore thumb when they needed to blend in the crowd. That is why they wore orange and not black. The reasons why ninjas wearing black is so iconic is because they were represented in plays and stages as wearing black. This image has stuck, and to this day, even most Japanese people think that ninjas wore black. Next are the special skills that Naruto uses. Rasengan and Chidori are one of the most famous, and I can imagine many people have tried it. Sadly, that is all a fantasy. Ninjas' jobs were not to fight in battlefields, but their jobs were to set fire to buildings, assassinations, and buying time. Very different from the animation. Ninjas were not professional fighters. That is why if they ever fought with samurai, they were never able to win, unlike Naruto. Now, the weapons the ninjas developed. This is shinobi katana. As you can see, Sasuke has one too. They are different from the swords that the samurais used. The swords are much shorter and do not have a curve to it. Because there was no curve, it wasn't meant to fight people. The main job of ninjas was to gather information, so the swords were shortened in order to be carried around lightly. Also, the tip of the shaft was covered with metal to be able to stab into the ground, so that when they were in danger, they would be able to run away quickly. They only had weapons as a backup. One of the weapons that appear in Naruto is the Shuriken, the throwing stars, and Kunai. First, Shuriken. There was actually two kinds of Shuriken, the stick Shuriken and the windmill Shuriken. The windmill Shuriken is the throwing stars that most of you saw in Naruto. However, these were not used so much in real life. The stick Shuriken had a sharp end to it and was used more often. The stick Shuriken were cheaper, easier to carry, and was easier to use. On the other hand, the windmill Shuriken was difficult to carry, difficult to use, and for some reason was very expensive. One reason they even used the windmill shuriken was because if you were not good at throwing, you would be able to injure the enemy. The same reason may apply to the ninja classes you can take at tourist spots. Now, the kunai. In Naruto, they are used as useful daggers and weapons against enemies. But in reality, they were not used as weapons. They were mostly used as shovels for digging. They were also used when climbing steep cliffs. One ninja would climb up the cliff, stab the kunai, and let down a rope so that the others would be able to climb up. The kunai were used more like tools than weapons. They only used kunai for fighting when they had no other choice. Ninjas were lower class than the samurai and did all their dirty work. Much of their tools were to help out their job instead of for fighting. These are the things I found surprising and interesting. Although I knew that much of the setting in Naruto was close to fantasy, I did not expect these differences. Hope this was interesting for you too, and see you next time. Mata ne!